Okay, so let's take a look at this problem, the practice question, constructing the probability distribution. So this is I expect that you already watched this 3 video tutorial, right? And so this is practice question, constructing a probability distribution, right? So basically, this is like one of the problems. I mean, I think if you click this problem, I think it will give you 3 different problems. I think this is like one of the 3 problem. But you may not be able to see the same problem because they usually get this problem from their test bank. So and they select each problem randomly. So you may not be able to see this exact problem, right? But the idea is exactly the same. The idea is basically what? Constructing a probability distribution, right? So let's take a look at this problem. Anna has a hypothesis that girls get up early and, as a result, usually enter Anna's donut shop before boys do. To test her hypothesis, she spent 10 mornings, as you can see, from day 1 to day 10, and asking the first 3 people to enter her shop, whether they are boy or girl, right? So basically, she asked first 3 people, right? So the BBB means, so you know that G means girl, B means boy. So BBG means boy, boy, and girl, right? So drag the bar to make relative frequency, meaning the probability plot that shows the proportion for each possible number of girls in the first 3 customers in a day. So as you can see, you can just drag this graph like this, right? And you know that this is X represent the number of girls, right? In the first 3 people. And this is relative frequency, meaning like probability. So Y, right? Y means what? There's no girls, right? So that means BBB. Let's see. Okay, there is a BBB, right? That means there is no girl, so girl is equal to 0. And then BBB. So we have 2 events, right? 2 cases out of 10. So the probability is 20%. By the way, as you can see in this table, I clicked the hint, by the way. I clicked the hint link. It shows this hint. So when 0 goes, right, it's 20%. So 20%. And then let's say 1 goes means, let's say there's only 1 G. So first case, there's only 1 G, right? Only 1 G. Second, so only 1 G. Third, right? So there are 3 cases out of 10, so 30%, right? So 30%. So we can easily find this relative frequency. 30% and 40%, and then finally it's 10%. When number of goals is 3, that means like BBB. I mean, sorry, GGG. So there is only 1 case, 3 goals. So that's like a 10%, right? And but I want you to express this probability distribution using a mathematical notation, right? That you learn from the 3 previous video lectures. Like for example, right? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this graph, right? Let's take a look at. Oops, sorry. Let's take a look at this graph. Oops. Maybe. Okay, I'll just. Okay. Let's take a look at this graph. So you know that first you always think about the name of your random variable. In this case, number of galls is your random variable, right? So for example, we can use either x, right? It's just variable name, so you can use either x or the g. G stands for number of galls. You can use x or g, a, b, c. It's really up to you. It's variable name. You can choose any variable name you want. So in this case, I'll just choose a g because g I think is more meaningful, right? More meaningful than x. So g is basically the random variable RV that represent what? Represent a number of galls, right? In the first three people who enters her shop. So we know that the value of this random variable could be what? Could be 0, right? Or could be 1, could be 2, and then could be 3, right? So if you look at the first case, right? The first one, 20%, right? We can represent this as what? The probability. The random variable g, right? Random variable g is equal to 0 is what? 0.2. It's 20%, right? And then the first one is the probability, right? That random variable value is 1 means there's only one gall, right? Is how many cases? We have 3 cases out of 10. So the probability is 0.3, right? And then we can move on. G is equal to 2. The probability is what? 0.4, right? This is 0.4. And then the probability that the galls is equal to 3 is what? 0.1, right? Of course, if we add this value, right? A random variable value, then of course it has to be 1, right? So basically, I want you to, when you solve this kind of problem, I want you to think about how can you express this using a random variable, right? The probability and random variable notation, right? Right? So, okay. So I'm going to end my lecture here.